In today's video, how much cardio should you be doing to get lean?
All by myself.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com, and today we're here with Dani Krshka. Dani is my most recent addition to the Team ProPhysique coaching staff, so welcome, Dani.
Yep, thanks for having me.
So she's in town. We have the Tampa Pro going on, and also we're here doing some team stuff, but I thought while she was here, we would address a question that she feels is relevant.
Yes, it's a question I've gotten a lot over the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, so the question is basically, how much cardio are you doing?
Yeah, for my prep this year.
Okay, so I think it's a very fair question because cardio is definitely going to be a part of most successful fat loss diets. There are going to be some exceptions to the rule, but you know, the idea of creating a caloric deficit, you know, we do it through diet, we do it through our activity. Cardio tends to be a bad word in the fitness world.
I know, I used to have a negative.
For sure, well, and I think it for good reason. Like, it can be misused. It can be used in place of a good nutrition plan and training plan. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about the cardio that you've been doing this year versus other years.
Okay, so the type of cardio I've been doing is just steady state walking. I just walk on a treadmill. I own a treadmill, so that's been a huge lifesaver, but I just walk on an incline, anywhere from kind of a 6 to 10%. It depends on the treadmill, because different treadmills are going to vary on the, 8% on one treadmill might vary on another. So, somewhere around there, but mile per hour, I would walk anywhere from about 2.8 to 3.2 mile per hour. But yeah, it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. I just go at a pace to where it's enough to where I break a light sweat. But not so much to where I can't carry a light conversation. Yeah,
so now let's talk about the amount that you do, because there's a few benefits to doing low intensity steady state.
Yep.
And then there's a few drawbacks to doing low intensity steady state. So I'd say the biggest benefit, and you can back me up on this, is that it's not hard to do. It's not hard on you.
Correct.
There's going to be some times when it's actually tough to do, as far as just because you're fatigued. But the difference with like something like a high intensity cardio is that when the session's over, you're going to be fine.
Yep. Exactly.
And the biggest drawback is what?
Oh, the time that it takes.
Yeah.
Just the time, it's so very time demanding from your day. So finding the time to get it all in.
Yeah. So, for years, high intensity cardio was the basis for most of my preps as a competitor.
Mine as well.
And as a coach.
Yep.
So let's talk about some of your cardio styles from the past before you worked with me, and let's just discuss like the differences there.
So in previous preps, I used high intensity interval training, so HIIT style cardio, where I would sprint for anywhere from kind of 10 to 20 seconds, all out as fast as I possibly could, 110% max effort. And then I would my recover period would be somewhere around 1 minute and 40 seconds. I would do that for anywhere for 6 to 8 sprints at a time. I think total minutes, both of warm up and a cool down, was maybe 25 to 30 minutes for a HIIT session. I did that a lot in previous preps. And
what's the most times per week you would do a HIIT session?
For me personally, the most I got up to was 3 times. So 3 days a week for 8 sprints at a time.
That's pretty good. That's a lot.
I did a decent amount. That was in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I would assume you would still do some steady state on the days that you weren't doing HIIT.
Correct.
So, and usually when I would have people do HIIT cardio, I wouldn't have them do it on back-to-back days.
I can't remember. I think it was just whatever worked with my schedule. Sometimes I would have to.
Okay.
But
what equipment would you use?
For me, I would either do, it depends on how I felt, but I would go back and forth between sprinting on a treadmill or on a bike. That's mainly what I did.
Sprinting on a treadmill always makes me nervous. Maybe it's because I'm tall.
Oh, I definitely fell once.
Oh.
But it was my own fault. I was not paying attention.
So I got into the habit of always using the spin bike. I just found that I could put a little bit of resistance on there. The good spin bikes.
Yeah.
Like the ones for the classes. Yes. I've also used the recumbent bike. I've also done things like sled pushes. I've even gone to a basketball court or a track and then run actual sprints.
Those are the hardest for me, because I feel like I'm really able to.
If you can find a hill, those are the best. A hill sprint, it's a little bit safer, just as far as like risk to injury. But that's another thing to get into. So when it comes to setting up cardio for you, because the video is about, what we've done for Dani. So let's talk a little bit about, we'll explain what we should be doing, what you should be doing, but let's talk about what's the most cardio we've done with you in a given day?
Okay, so I've been avoiding this question for a while.
Yeah.
Because I think a part of me felt guilty because in the past I was always someone that said, no, you don't have to kill yourself with cardio to be able to lose weight. And I was always very pro, do the least amount of cardio as possible. But sometimes it depends on the situation, depends on how many weeks you have to the show, depends on your schedule. You know, sometimes we have to do what we have to do.
Yep.
So the most that I did this prep was 2 hours a day. So I would do an hour in the morning and then an hour in the evening.
Yeah.
And I mean, we started that, I did a very short prep this year because it was a very last minute decision for me. But right when I did officially start the prep, I think we started off at like 40 minutes a day, 6 days a week, right off the bat. Made good progress, but when I was about 6 weeks out, I think that's when we kicked it up and I started doing the 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. Well, it varied. It wasn't, yeah.
Well, so the philosophy of cardio, and we'll get into this and how I think it could be used in your situations, is I really believe in kind of pushing hard and pulling back a little bit with cardio. The thing about a long prep is that it can get a little tedious to not see progress one week and then maybe add a little bit of cardio the next week and maybe pull your calories back. Now, if your nutrition is not in check, this is a moot point. You have to know what your caloric intake is, because all cardio is a tool to help create a caloric deficit. And what I really noticed in the past was I would lose a lot of weight when I would like go on vacation, or I would go to like Las Vegas, and I would take 30,000 steps in a day. And so it occurred to me, like, I'm essentially creating a caloric deficit just because I'm moving so much. So like you, I got a treadmill for my house, and last year I did all my cardio on the treadmill, and I just noticed I wasn't as tired. My workouts were better, and I was able to drop a significant amount of body fat, keep muscle, and feel better throughout the process of prep. And so that's kind of the approach that I've taken with most of my clients these days, is the low intensity steady state for that reason. Now, there are people that love doing HIIT cardio. There are time constraints for some people, so that could be an issue. But for anyone out there that's not really tracking their diet, that's step one. But step two, if you're going to do some steady state cardio, the nice thing about the incline treadmill is it's easy to repeat. It's easy to get on there and put it on a speed and know what you're doing so that you can actually adjust it. Because I think the hardest part with a fat loss diet is kind of setting all your variables so that you know when you make a change, you're actually creating more of a deficit and not just trading off one style of cardio for another. The difficulty with HIIT cardio is to know actually how many calories you burned.
Right.
Because from session to session, you can go harder, burn more. And then also the big trade-off, and the research has shown this, is that when you do HIIT cardio, you tend to be lazier the rest of the day.
Yes, I remember when I used to do HIIT cardio in previous preps, I would just be so exhausted by the end of the day. Like, it had to be the last thing that I did. If I did it earlier in the day, I was just done for the rest of the day.
Right. So, I mean, basically your body is just in recovery mode after that. You're in such an oxygen deficit. So what happens is sometimes you can end up trading HIIT cardio for just normal lifestyle movements. You know, even things like that I'm doing right here with my hands. When I'm really lean, those movements stop. You know, you don't bob your head to the music. You don't get up and do the things you might do because you start to conserve energy. And it's these small little things that you don't realize how many calories you burn a day just moving your hands. Whereas when we do more steady state cardio, I find that it's a kind of more consistent lifestyle approach to the process. So if you are already tracking your calories and you're not doing any cardio, I would start with 15 to 20 minutes, 3 to 5 days a week.
Yeah, for sure.
Just get a nice little sweat going. And a lot of people ask me, how many calories should you be burning on the machine? Again, that's not really something I focus on, because that's an equation that's just based on estimations. Right. It's not based on you.
Yeah, the treadmill, it's just a very, very rough estimate. The treadmill has no idea how hard you're going.
Right.
You could be going one pace, but if you go the same pace all the time, you can still be more intense about it.
Yep. And you can also get more adapted to it. So two people that weigh the same don't necessarily get the same out of the cardio, okay? Because some people can be adapted. Like when we went for that hike in California, and you guys were gone, and me and Kyle were like huffing and puffing in the back, and that's because you guys were a little more adapted to some incline walking.
We had to stop multiple times to wait for you guys. We chased all the snakes away.
I was going to say, that's why you stopped, because you saw a snake.
Yeah, well, sure.
So you can be more adapted, and when you're more adapted to a form of cardio, guess what? You actually get more efficient. You burn less calories doing it. So that's why it's also important to stay consistent. So if you're going to start with 10, 15, 20 minutes a session and work up from there, well, then you can just do low intensity, steady state. Now, we're doing something extreme with Dani, and I probably am going to use a picture of her in the thumbnail, and maybe I'll put some pictures in this video. We're not just doing lifestyle, get fit, be happy. You were already fit and happy.
Yeah.
Before we even started.
Yeah, definitely.
This was contest prep. This was to get her shredded. And we're just illustrating the point here that the type of cardio and the amount of cardio you should be doing should be related to your lifestyle, your approach.
Yes.
Is 2 hours a day extreme cardio? You're damn right it is. But we're not going for average look.
No, not at all.
And Dani did win an overall bikini title this year in the NPC, and she has competed at the national level. And maybe your season's done.
Well, yeah, it might be for now. We'll see.
But we'll see. But the point is, when we're trying to guide you guys and give you answers, it's about creating as much variability in one aspect and not the other. So if you're really tracking your diet well, when you add some cardio in, that's easy. If you're not really tracking your diet that well and you add in a bunch of cardio, you might just compensate by eating a little bit more because you're a little hungrier. So you have to have all these variables in check so that you can actually make changes to what's going on. Any other thoughts?
I mean, when I had heard, talk to you before about your other clients, I knew that you had gotten some of your clients up to that amount, and I knew based off of my situation, like I said, it was a very last minute decision for me to prep. And so I wasn't in a terrible position calorie wise when we started. I wasn't in a terrible position cardio wise, but I feel like we ended up having to do more cardio with me to create the deficit because we didn't have as many calories to work with when I started.
And to be fair, I actually keep calories a little bit higher, so we don't get super low with calories when we move more. And I'm actually all for doing some non-traditional cardio. Like, you don't have to go in the gym.
Right.
You can go for walks. You can track your steps for the day. So, 2 hours of cardio, it sounds like a lot.
It
but
does.
when it's walking...
I know. Like I said, it's been hard for me to, when people have asked me this question on social media, it's been hard for me to admit that.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to sound like a crazy person who has, like an issue.
But here's the other thing. Once you get the body fat off, you do not need to do 2 hours anymore to maintain that.
Nope.
We can maintain your weight now with 15, 20, 30 minutes of cardio a day.
Yeah, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah.
Just so because of
it's hard to get it off. It's not hard to keep it off.
Yeah. But the hardest part for me was just making the time for it every day, but when I compare it back to previous preps, I just felt so much better. Like, my training stayed much more consistent this time around because I wasn't doing all of the HIIT cardio, which was so exhausting and fatiguing for me. I felt like I was actually able to keep up much better with the actual weightlifting portion, which would be my higher priority.
Yeah, so there it is, guys. The idea behind cardio, it's just a movement. It's just a way to get your body expending energy so you're creating caloric deficit. You have to find the right balance for you, whether that's lowering your calories and doing no cardio, whether that's keeping your calories high and doing plenty of cardio, but ultimately creating the caloric deficit for an extended amount of time is how you're going to get the body fat off. And I guess you're just going to have to adjust based on what your ultimate level of shreddness is, right?
Right. What your goal is. What are you going for?
Yeah.
If you're just lifestyle, not trying to get on a stage in a bikini anytime soon, you don't need to go do 2 hours of cardio today.
Probably not.
So.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for us today. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Dani also has a YouTube channel, which I'll link below, and we're going to be posting a video on her channel here shortly.
Yep. As of today.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.